Donald Trump versus CNN. Death match over $475 million over defamation. We are going to take a look at the full lawsuit because we've got some fun stuff to get into. You can see it's Donald Trump versus CNN and the entire corporation. They're saying that they were defaming Trump by writing stories that were patently untrue about him being a Putin lackey and all sorts of things. So we will, of course, get into that. But first, let's take a look at what Donald Trump had to say on his press release, because he published a big statement. And so let's get this pulled up here. This is the statement from Donald Trump. And here, let's get this open big. There it is. All right. Donald Trump. Trump issued a statement on his lawsuit against CNN. October 3rd. Statement by Donald Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. Trump writes, a lawsuit was filed today against CNN, the once prestigious news channel that has devolved into a purveyor of disinformation, defamation, and fake news at a level which the American public and indeed the world will not even believe is possible. For years, I have watched this take place, often in disbelief. But the time has finally come to hold CNN responsible and legally accountable for their willful deception and defamatory statements made about me, and both directly and indirectly, my strong and devoted and patriotic supporters. People who love the United States of America, but have been treated very unfairly at so many levels. The big lie that they constantly refer to is actually something. He says they know that and something's going to happen. He says there's going to be a lot of lawsuits that are coming against a large number of fake media companies for their defamation and wrongdoings. And likewise, we may bring appropriate action to the unselect committee of the January 6th. Wow. Because notwithstanding overwhelming evidence, they refused to investigate the massive something that took place. The Unselect Committee has refused to acknowledge, as was done by the Biden inspector, that the days ahead of January 6th, I recommended and authorized thousands of troops to be deployed to ensure that there was peace and safety and security at the Capitol and throughout the country. That offer of the National Guard was rejected by Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser of Washington, D.C. The law requires their request. They failed to make one, and in turn failed the country. I am proud to file today's lawsuit in order to begin the process of standing up to the fake news and the fake news mainstream media. Press release from Donald Trump and the Save America PAC, submitted August 3rd. Now, we are going to take a look at the actual lawsuit. Donald Trump sues CNN, the cable news network, defendants out of Florida. You can see a 29-page document submitted out of the Southern District of Florida, a complaint and a jury demand, a civil lawsuit. It is 29 pages. We'll hit the highlights. Let's dig in. The plaintiff, Donald Trump, writes Trump's team has been a longtime critic of fake news CNN, not because CNN does a bad job of reporting the news, but because CNN seeks to create the news. Fake news, as the president calls it. Beyond simply highlighting any negative information about Trump and ignoring all positive information about him, CNN has sought to use its massive influence as a purportedly, quote, trusted news source to defame Trump in the minds of its viewers and the readers for the purpose of defeating him politically, culminating in CNN claiming credit for, quote, getting Trump out in 2020. CNN's campaign of dissuasion in the form of libel and slander against Trump has only escalated in the recent months as CNN fears that Trump is going to run again for president in 2024. As a part of its effort to tilt the political balance to the left, CNN has tried to taint the plaintiff with a series of ever more scandalous, false and defamatory labels of racist, Russian lackey, quote, insurrectionist, and ultimately, quote, Hitler. Literally. These labels are neither hyperbolic nor opinion. These are repeatedly reported as true fact with purported factual support by allegedly, quote, reputable newscasters. not acting merely with reckless disregard for the truth of their statement, which would be sufficient to meet the legal definition for actual malice, but acting with real animosity for Trump and seeking to cause him true harm, the way actual malice is commonly understood. Trump's lawyers say CNN has been given the dreaded, quote, pants on fire designation from PolitiFact, even for its stories comparing Trump to Hitler. Still, it persists, requiring the time and the expense of filing this lawsuit. I love how Trump's referencing PolitiFact, an entirely fake news organization, in his fake news lawsuit. Trump's lawyers continue. They say, even though the actual malice standard is met here, and remember what they're talking about in defamation lawsuits, there are sort of two big things you ask about, whether it's a public persona, a public figure, or a non-public figure, the category of the person being spoken about. And then you also ask about the speech itself. Was it done with actual malice to harm that person? Was it like throwing a punch at that person, or was it a mistake? Did you intend to damage them, or did you sort of just make a mistake? And there are differences between how the rules work based on that intent of the speech and whether the category of the person is either a public figure or not. In this case, Trump obviously is a massive public figure who gets massive levels of criticism lobbed his way. And so the question is, when does it become illegal, liable conduct? When does it become defamatory such that Trump deserves recompense? They say here, in many circumstances like these, the policy of actual malice should not even apply here because of ideological homogeneity in the media or in channels of information distribution. They say it risks repressing certain ideas from the public consciousness, like it's being restricted from the media. In other words, the media is colluding all over the place. Suits like these do not throttle the First Amendment. They vindicate the First Amendment's marketplace of ideas. So they're sort of pre-butting the free speech argument. They reference a case from somebody named Judge Silberman, and we'll skip over that one. Now, they label the different parties who were involved. They say President Trump is a party, CNN's a party. The amount of damages exceeds enough to give the federal courts diversity jurisdiction, and so they've got it. Venues proper in Florida. Why? Because the defamatory statements were published in South Florida. A substantial part of the events giving rise to this claim occurred in Florida. They say Trump lives in South Florida, domiciled there. The defendant here, CNN, does business in South Florida, and they're registered elsewhere as well. They have their registered agent in Broward County. They say Trump followed the rules, saying that the lawsuit has been delivered over there. And now we get to the background. Trump versus CNN. He says, this is why they're liable for being such fake news losers. Background, a news network that is purporting to be trusted and honored. It says CNN holds itself out as, quote, the most honored brand in news and, quote, the most trusted name in news. It touts, quote, reaching more individuals on television and online than any other news organization in the United States. Here's a screenshot from their website about CNN. We're honored. We're number one. We do everything great. Jake Tapper, yay. CNN has had the opportunity to review your letter and evaluate your demand to take, what is this from? Okay, so here it looks like this is an article from CNN's blog. They say that CNN uses its platform to propagate its politics. It's a political fake news station. Trump's team, they say, purporting to be a, quote, trusted news source, CNN anchors have denounced competing networks as providing, quote, a buffet of cultural war cuisine. I wonder who they're talking about. And saying that they are predictably hypocritical. Footnote 7 says that they're talking on August 20th, 2022. Meanwhile, CNN has undertaken a smear campaign to malign Trump with a barrage of negative associations and innuendos, broadcasting commentary that he's like a cult leader, footnote 8, broadcasted on August 20th. A Russian lackey, footnote 9, broadcast August 20th as well, lead panel with Jake Tapper figures. a Russian lackey by Jake Tapper or somebody on his show, a dog whistler to white supremacists, and of course, a racist. How can you get on without the racist in there? Trump's lawyers say it's the stuff of tabloids, and they're cloaking it as honored news. Here's Raskin claiming that Trump has a cult-like grip over the GOP. Slippery Jamie Raskin, he's got some interesting commentary, and now he's in Trump's lawsuit. CNN is reporting on Trump in recent years, and they have consistently fed a narrative to denounce Trump's legitimacy and his competency. They say that the reporting is results-oriented. As betrayed in an undercover video, a CNN employee was filmed discussing CNN's coverage of the 2020 election. Probably a Project Veritas video that came out. Washington Examiner, CNN news director boasts about removing Trump from office. The employee boasted that CNN, quote, helped to defeat the plaintiff in the election and said that his employer was propaganda, obvious. Look at what we did. We got Trump out. I'm 100% going to say it, and I 100% believe that if it wasn't for CNN, I don't know that Trump would have got voted out. The statements by this CNN employee celebrating the media bias are consistent with the statements of its other commentators. They tell us that CNN went from reporting the news to simply propagating political beliefs, calling it malicious libel and slander. Most notably, write Trump's lawyers, and the subject of this complaint, this lawsuit, is CNN's persistent association of Trump to Adolf Hitler and Nazism. When labels like racist and Russian lackey and insurrectionist did not have the desired effect to undermine Trump's candidacy when running for president, or when Trump accomplished things as president, CNN upped the stakes to conjure up associations between Trump and arguably the most heinous figure in modern history. CNN's persistent use of ever-increasing defamatory characterizations of Trump up and to including comparing him to Hitler and Nazism demonstrates that it did publish defamatory statements about Trump with actual malice. They're not even trying to report the facts. They're just trying to smear the guy. On January 9, 2022, CNN aired its special report, The Fight to Save Democracy, anchored by Fareed Zakaria. In the promotional video for the program, Zakaria states, quote, democracy everywhere is under attack. But remember, America has been here before. America has vanquished demagogues before. So how do we do it now? You see a photo here. If Trump wins the nomination and it's close, we will almost certainly face a constitutional crisis, said Zakaria. And they've got this clip on CNN's special report referencing Donald Trump, and there he is. Adolf. Ugh. They're trying to say Trump is like Hitler. Now, the report goes on to discuss Trump's challenge to 2020, saying that the democracy is under attack, not because of the election, but because Trump questioned the results. Just questioning. A focal point of the report is a discussion of the ascendancy of Hitler and comparisons to Trump, interspersing discussions of Hitler and Nazi Germany with footage of Trump. Zakaria states in the report, let's be very clear, Donald Trump is not Adolf Hitler. But the disclaimer is lost in an otherwise direct and graphic analogy. If you have to say that Donald Trump is not Adolf Hitler in your video, it's probably because your video makes a very strong case that Donald Trump is Hitler, right? So you have to come out and say it. It's like the people who have to tell you that they're honest and trustworthy all the time. Not really. Mostly. I'm really honest and really trustworthy. I'm not saying Donald Trump is not Hitler, but never mind the last 60 minutes of Nazi propaganda comparing Trump to Hitler. My lawyer said I had to say this thing. Insane. But the disclaimer is lost in an otherwise overwhelming analogy. Trump's lawyers continue. They say, when CNN does this, the effect on viewers is apparent from responses to the program on Twitter. Look at Fareed Zakaria's status last received on August 2022. After the program came out, somebody named Mark Mayer on Twitter says, excellent and chilling. The parallels with the rise of Hitler are obvious and undeniable, right down to the lies and conspiracy theories. Fareed Zakaria lays out the ways in which the threat is real and parallels historical threats. The similarity between Hitler in the 1930s, Germany and Trump in 2016 are notorious, they say. And the way you made the segment by on and off alternate images of both, even if not apparent before, you made it now. So this guy really bought into it. Excellent job comparing the two. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. Thank you. Here are several other clips. Rand says, Fareed Zakaria lays out how this is a threat, says the report by Tapper was excellent. Similarity between Hitler are notorious. Democracy Muse says, every American has to watch this. Trump isn't Hitler, but he's taking every play from Hitler's playbook. Liberals, put your agenda on hold. We're saving democracy. Twitter loved it. On August 25th, CNN broadcast its Reliable Sources program, canceled by Brian Stelter. Oh, and they dig into him on this one. Trump's lawyers let it sting. They say on August 25th, CNN broadcast on its Reliable Sources program, hosted by then anchor Brian Stelter, fired, an interview with a psychiatrist called Allen. In the broadcast, Allen claimed that Trump is a destructive person, in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century. Serious case of TDS on this person. Allen and his statements were analyzed by PolitiFact, a website that holds itself out as a fact-checking website. Yeah. PolitiFact determined that Francis's statements about Trump merited the pants-on-fire rating of untruth. Not even close. There it is. Here's Alan Francis. This weirdo said, Trump is as a destructive person as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao, who were responsible collectively for, 100 million, 150 million deaths, maybe more than that, 200 million. I don't know. A lot. Trump is as destructive as people responsible for hundreds of millions dead. Weird people. He's probably friends with Sam Harris. CNN recently canceled Stelter's terrible program called Reliable Sources, which was made public on August 18th. Reporting on the cancellation identifies Stelter's historic bias against the Trump and Republican team. Additional reporting by CNN that associates Trump with Hitler include the following. On March 2019, there was a headline said that top House Democrats compare Trump's rise to Hitler's. You see this posted by Devin Cole over there on CNN. December 2019, Anderson Cooper interviewed somebody named Linda, and there were comparisons between America under Trump and Germany under the leadership of Hitler. Trump's lawyers. I don't know who this lady is, whoever this lady is. What's her name? Linda Ronstadt. Never heard of her. On her views of the plaintiff and her comparisons between the American leadership of Trump and Germany. Trump's lawyers say, no matter how lovely a voice she may have, Ronstadt is a singer, not a historian. The interview is merely a pretext to repeat CNN's message under the guise of, quote, real reporting. More problematic is the use of celebrities to propagate CNN's message. Jim Acosta in 2021 on CNN's Newsroom, they said, we've entered the realm of coups and Hitler. We have to pause. This statement is the title of CNN's YouTube post from the same segment. The segment of the broadcast from Acosta is saying that Biden took on the big lie and the insurrection, posted on YouTube. 457,000 views on CNN. A search across a news database that features Trump within 10 words of Hitler or Nazi. Paragraph 20. A search across a news database for instances in which, quote, Trump appears within 10 words of Hitler or Nazi in CNN broadcasts since November 2016 produces at least 645 results. Outstanding. 645 results. As evidenced in tweets following Fareed Zakaria's 2020 special report, viewers took their cues from CNN, saying that the similarity between Hitler in the 1930s and Trump in 2016 are notorious. Trump's lawyers, they say, the effectiveness of CNN's propaganda on its viewers is even demonstrated in the polls. NBC News Wall Street poll from 2019 found 99% of CNN viewers believed that Trump lied about Russia. which was all a hoax, which is crazy. CNN attempted to malign Trump and it had the desired effect on its viewers. They got people to believe the massive hoaxes all around the world. Defamation is the subject of this complaint. They say, all right, Judge, now that you know the background, one of the most pervasive associations is about the big lie, Nazi propaganda, and so on. Saying the CNN continued to use that phrase and that the phrase connects, it's sort of attempting to connect Trump to this Hitlerian effort. They say on January 16, 2022, CNN aired a show by Jake Tapper called State of the Union. Jake Tapper made the following comments. Over the weekend, while Martin Luther King Day was in Arizona rallying to expand voting rights, Donald Trump, said Jake, was the same day in the same state doing the exact opposite, continuing to push his big lie. And he's, bringing that up. So Trump doesn't like that phrase, saying that they are using that to single out the plaintiff. They're saying that that big lie is something that's been used by a lot of people. In fact, Stacey Abrams, she lost the governor's race in November 2018. She claimed back then that the election was not fair for her. And she's got all sorts of statements about that. Of course, you can follow those along. It's probably going to happen again. Abrams was interviewed by Chris Cuomo, and she gets asked about all sorts of election stuff. But they don't call her the big liar. They only call Donald Trump the big liar because they are biased against him. They say Trump brings this action to vindicate his reputation. He's a dedicated public servant. And they also want to establish CNN's liability for the harm that it caused to his reputation by these defamatory statements. Trump seeks an award and compensatory damages for all of the reputational harm. And given the willful and malicious nature of CNN's conduct that they say intended to interfere with Trump's career, that Trump also wants punitive damages, baby. Punish that. The plaintiff requests compensatory damages exceeding the jurisdictional limit and punitive damages of $475 million to CNN. They say this action seeks that amount just 6 months of CNN's illicit profits. That's where that number comes from. So they're saying CNN makes about under 100 grand a month, maybe 80, 90 grand, a million a month. So add 6 months of their profits up, $475 million. Any lesser amount would not serve as a deterrent and would allow CNN to continue to profit from its tortious conduct. Big money getting asked for down there. And so let's scroll down to the bottom and see what the final conclusion looks like, the prayer for relief. Down here at the bottom, you can see the same numbers. Compensatory damages, 75 grand. Punitive damages, 475. A trial by a jury if necessary. All litigation cost, any prejudgment interest and post-judgment interest. Signed by Trump lawyers Lindsay Halligan and James Trusty. Donald Trump versus CNN. $475 million. And boy, oh boy, do we hope that Donald Trump gets it. That, my friends, is the CNN lawsuit. We'll see where this goes. And not so sure that he's going to get $475 million. Maybe one of those things that he doesn't see anything from. But as we've talked about, especially on our morning walk and talk, which is available for members, we know that Trump likes to fight in the court of public opinion, likes to battle in multiple different arenas. And of course, the court of law is one place to do that. He's making some very good points, and we will continue to follow. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us as we do.